Hey, Dr. Charles here, aka CoachMD, coming to you live on my Magical Monday broadcast. In case you didn't remember, every Monday at noon, I will be doing a Magical Monday broadcast to get everyone on the right footing. And it also helps me. I look forward to this, and it gets me going for my week and gets me into the right frame of mind. But before we get started with what I'd like to talk to you about, there's some little housekeeping issues, and not issues, but information. I will be doing a once weekly CoachMD TV broadcast, and that won't be a live broadcast. What I'd like to do in these Magical Monday broadcasts is kind of give along the lines of more motivational, more sharing with you some of the information that I found as I looked into my own self and how I motivate my patients and motivate myself and share those. And what the CoachMD TV will be kind of tapping into my medical knowledge and how that applies to certain different challenges that people have. And I certainly welcome ideas for broadcasts. I did my first last week, so if you didn't see it, just go to my video section on CoachMD and you'll find that, my CoachMD Facebook page. Also, make sure that you choose See First under the drop-down on my Facebook CoachMD page, because in order to be able to see what I'm having to share, Facebook has totally changed their algorithm and has prevented a lot of pages like myself from reaching those who I think might be interested in what I have to share. So anyway, do that. But what I'd like to talk to you today about is change. I'd like to take topics each month, and the month of March, which is the launch of spring, of course, although in the Northeast I think we're expecting another snowstorm, so not quite spring yet, but spring is the season of change. And so often we have challenges with change, and we go through our whole lives and look back and say, wow, I really haven't changed. Things have been very constant. And I was driving by a house just yesterday. It was the house of a boy who I used to coach along with my son in Little League. And this was probably, I guess a good 10 years ago. Well, more than that now, probably about 15 years ago. So this once 8-year-old boy was probably now 23. Now, I didn't see him, but it made me think a bit. If I saw him, I would have noticed he would have changed quite a bit. Well, I would hope so. And then I think of myself, have I changed in 15 years? What has happened in my life in 15 years? What has happened in my profession, my personal life, my professional life? Well, a lot has changed. And that's because I always embrace change. So many of us, though, don't do that. And why don't we do that? Well, we don't do that because change represents danger for a lot of us. And danger, as those of you who know what I like to talk about, and that's our pesky automatic brain, that's our primitive nature, that's our nature that only responds to danger, threat, or vulnerability by fight or flight. And that is in all of us. So anytime we face that danger, threat, or vulnerability, our brain causes us to fight or flee. And guess what one of those dangers is for everybody? Change, the unknown, the unfamiliar, the unexpected, the abnormal. These are things that could represent danger to us, and we often fight or flee. So here we go through such a transition from that 8-year-old boy to that 23-year-old boy, right? I'm sure he went through great changes. But what have we gone from 23 years old to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70? So many of us are so stuck in our ways, and that influences all aspects of our life, from our relationships to our professions to everything, the way we view ourselves and our own interaction with the world and our views on spirituality and God and so many different things. So it's important to understand that the reason why we don't change is because of fear, of danger. That's why we don't change. But change isn't always what is change? Change is growth. And when we grow from a child to a teenager to an adult, remarkable changes happen when we're growing. But then all of a sudden we become adults, and for some reason we stop growing. But we stop growing because we don't embrace change. Instead of making change a danger, make it something you look forward to. And that's what I try to live my life. Every week, doing these Facebook broadcasts, I just started doing these a couple months ago. That was change. That was a growth for me. It's something that puts me out there. It makes me vulnerable, because you got to look at my, my mug. Okay, what do I look like? What am I going to say? Am I going to mess up? So I'm taking chances, and that's growth. Growth is meaning stepping outside of that comfort zone. When we don't change and we don't grow, we get stagnant. You probably have read that one of the greatest health risks now is sitting. We say sitting now is the new smoking. And that's because when we sit, our muscles shorten up, they tighten up, especially our hip flexors. So what happens when we sit and we don't change positions? Let's say you're sitting on the couch watching one of your favorite programs, and you're so into it, and you don't change your position. When you get up, at least it does with me. I feel a little tight, a little stiff. That's why it's important to change your position. And that's why it's important to change our position sometimes in life. That's where personal growth comes in. And as long as we're living, we owe it to ourselves to live. And that means to grow. It doesn't mean that you have to, you need to embrace that growth that you had when you were a child to teenager to adulthood. Embrace that. Remain being a child in that growth sense, and always look for opportunities to grow. But remember that as every time you take a step outside of that comfort zone, your pesky automatic brain, the AB as I call it, will say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop, where are you going? How did I get here? And you often pull yourself back. Understand and expect that. Because when we venture into that growth period, when we venture into that change period, what you're doing is you're expanding that comfort zone. And every time you take one step out, it represents danger. And your AB is different from your soul. Your AB is different from your divine nature. Your AB is different from your true connection to what I feel God is. That's your primitive nature, and that's what stops you. Don't believe, trust, or take direction from it. Keep growing, keep changing, keep believing that you have the gifts. See, there you go. See, I mess up. I'm taking a chance, right? I mess up my speech, right? But vulnerability is my greatest asset. That helps me grow. That helps me change. That helps me be a different person than I was 10, 15 years ago. And it's important to do that, even if you're in the same job for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Look for opportunities to grow in that job. Look for ways that you can get smarter in that job. Look for ways that you might be able to take a course or learn online, something that will give you some type of a different insight, a different perspective at what you're doing. I love listening to books on my phone. Audible is one of my favorite apps. And I download books and I listen while I'm driving in the car. How many of you are faced with a commute? And what do you do every day, day in and day out, when you go to your job during the commute, which could be anywhere from 10 to 22 hours. I know some people commute 1 hour each way, sometimes an hour and a half each way. And we settle into these habits and these routines that become comfortable. But it's important to start becoming uncomfortable in order for you to grow, in order for you to change. And you will be surprised when you do that. So many other opportunities will appear in your life. That's why these Magical Monday broadcasts are so important. Not only for you, I do them for me. It allows me to keep myself grounded, keep myself putting one foot in front of the other. Monday is such a habitual day of being down and gloomy and, oh, we have the whole week ahead, we have to work all day, and then, oh, it's only Tuesday tomorrow. And it's such a humdrum, and it becomes our habit. But in order to grow and to change, it's important to do that, to change, to move, to, like you're in your seat, just, stretch a little bit, don't get stuck in that one spot. Don't get stiff. Don't get complacent. Keep life exciting. And in order to keep it exciting, growth has to happen. When growth doesn't happen, it stagnates us. But when it does happen, it enriches everything that is important to us in life. It enriches our relationships. And guess what? It will enrich your wallet too. It does, okay? It will enrich your wallet to the extent that it needs to be enriched. I'm not saying that it'll make you $1 million, because $1 million might not be right for you. I look at, one of my sons is entering into the field of acting, okay? And I watched the Academy Awards last night. And one thing that did strike me is that, so many of us strive for fame. And we strive for something that may not be so good for us. And one of the people who won some of the awards, the people that struck me the most were the ones, not the famous ones, the quote famous ones, but the behind the scenes people, winning the behind the scenes awards, like the editing and the design. They would thank their partner. They thank their partner, and then they would say, oh, we've been together for 20 years, for 30 years. Now, I don't think that's the first thing that you think of when you think of Hollywood, of long-standing, secure relationships. They're very flippant kind of relationships, most of them. But the ones that have stuck together seem to be the ones that are behind the scenes, not the, quote, famous ones. So that's something that just kind of an aside, that's kind of going off on a little bit of tangent, but getting back to the idea of change, if you have a mentality that is stuck with your eye on your destination and you just want to be famous, then that needs to change. Because in order to really grow, you need to enjoy the journey. And the journey is with each individual step you take outside of that comfort zone. So we could have comfort zones of thought, not only action. And those comfort zones, in order to really grow and to be a better person and a whole person, it's important to take a step out of that comfort zone of thought, comfort zone of behavior, comfort zone of physicality. And in order to do that, we have to shift a little bit. Get out of that seated position, stretch, move around, and enjoy your life. Because as you are alive, you owe it to yourself to live. So that's my Magical Monday broadcast. I hope it helps you get your week off on a good footing. Again, I'm Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD. And a couple of new exciting things happening, so stay tuned. Make sure you tune in to my CoachMD TV broadcast. It's going to evolve as I get more experience with it. Be bringing you some information on health issues that I think are important. But again, please leave me your ideas. If you have any topics you'd like me to talk about, I'd be very happy to do that at some point if I think it's something that can benefit a lot of people. And I will be starting to do interviews on that as well. It won't be live, but I think it'll be valuable just the same. So anyway, this is Dr. Charles. Thank you again for joining me. I'm going to be signing off for now. I just want to wish you many blessings for the week ahead. Thank you. I love you, and God bless you. Bye for now.